So one more time, I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, and then good evening to every one of us from wherever part of the world we're joining the meeting from. And I'm excited that you're all here with us in this meeting. Just a background check, I'd like to mention to us that this meeting is being recorded and we'll be able to share links to the meeting with our participants when we are done. So welcome to the workshop tagged Increasing Climate Resilience Using Geospatial Technologies. I am Israel Taiwo and I am the happy lead of the VCSP Wisdom Workshop. Of course, we started this workshop some 8 days ago, and then today is going to be the last day of the workshop. Okay, can I just request that we all keep ourselves muted when we don't intend to talk? Thank you so much. Okay, so what I'm doing currently is to welcome you all to this meeting, and in a short while, I'm going to be welcoming one of our FIG officials is going to be opening this meeting for us. But before I let her open this meeting for us, I'm going to be quickly saying one or two things, just as a preface to the meeting. Number one is that the workshop has been a 7-day, we've had a 7 days pre-workshop MOOC, and then this is going to be a 3 hours live session, which has just commenced. The goals of this workshop is basically to create climate change awareness and to teach the GI skills related to taking climate action. And then to encourage young surveyors' participation in climate action, and lastly, to show participants how to contribute to climate action projects. We have a lot of activities drawn towards this. If you look into the participant handbook, which has been shared with you, you will discover that we have so many things outlined, which some of them have been done, and then some of them are still going to be done before the end of this meeting. So I'm happy one more time to welcome you to being part of this. And I must confess that I've enjoyed, I'm happy for the interactivity I've seen on our MOOC classroom. That's interesting. Thank you so much. So basically, for this workshop, it's important that I quickly mention this, that for you to have a certificate of completion for this workshop, the 3 things written clearly on my screen right now are going to need to be fulfilled. One of it is for you to complete the general sections of the MOOC. And after completing the general sections of the MOOC, it's important that you as well complete one of the cohorts. We have 3 cohorts. We have the Web ODM session, we have the QGI session, and then lastly, we have the session on Digital Africa, whose MOOC platform is different from the platform we're currently using. Then it's important as well that you complete the final assessment quiz for that MOOC classroom. That is where, or that's when you're going to be able to complete the MOOC. If you're able to do that alone, you are qualified to have a certificate of participation. But if you are able to do that and as well able to join this meeting for 3 hours and be part of us, and maybe lastly, you're able to complete the post-wisdom workshop survey, then that makes you eligible to receive our certificate of completion. So you're welcome one more time. I'd just like to mention just a few etiquettes to keep us on check. Number one is the fact that we're humans, so we're no robots, and I understand there could be mistakes, there could be times when someone will unmute, but at the same time, we are humbly requesting that all participants keep themselves muted, especially when they do not intend to speak, and then you can unmute when you're asked to do so. Second thing I would like to say is that let's adhere to the same standards of behaviors online that we follow in real life. It's quite important. Another one here is that we should respect other people's time and bandwidth. Time is money, so whenever you have the opportunity to speak to us, it's important that we all keep it short and succinct. And then number 4 here is for us to respect other people's privacy. It's quite important. We do not want a situation where any of our participants are put in a position where they can be uncomfortable because they joined the meeting. And then lastly is for us to know where we are in the cyberspace. This in particular applies to me, and I know it applies to some of us as well. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass the lead of this or the next speaker. I'm going to pass the whole workshop now to the next speaker, who is Claire Buxton. Claire Buxton is representing the FIG in this meeting, and she's going to be speaking to us, welcoming all we participants to the workshop. Thank you so much, Claire.
Thank you, Israel. Can you hear me?
Clearly, I can hear you, and I believe the whole world can hear you.
Great. I'm talking that loud. Okay, let me begin by telling a wee story. Never have I felt the impacts of climate change more than recently when I visited the north of the Arctic Circle. There, the polar bears are actually moving south, and the local people, the Inuit, are seeing less and less of these majestic but terrifying bears. The waters up there are opening up because the ice is melting more and more beyond the summer, and this means the passage will become clear up there, perhaps bringing more conflict. Now, I'm just trying to set the scene there. This is such an important topic that we're talking about, and I'm so proud that the Wisdom Workshop team have pulled it together. Now, if you're new to Wisdom Workshops, welcome to your first VCSP Wisdom Workshop. And if you've been before, welcome back. It's great to see you, and I'm glad that we could attract your interest again. This theme is increasing climate resilience using geospatial technologies. Now, I am Claire Buxton. I am north of 60 degrees right now in Whitehorse, the Yukon in Canada. I live in Vancouver, and I am the previous VCSP chair or lead. Now, I represent FIG today, and I'm going to talk to you briefly about what FIG is and you know, how surveyors can make an impact from my perspective on climate change. So in 2016, I got involved with the FIG Young Surveyors because there was a working week in Christchurch, New Zealand, where I lived. And since then, I've been involved in the Young Surveyors Network. Now, one thing I'd like you to take away from me speaking now is that you are part of something bigger. And whether that's the FIG or the Young Surveyors Network or the VCSP, it's all part of a very big picture that you can be part of. So, quick point on my structure. I'll talk briefly about the FIG makeup, the Young Surveyors Network. The VCSP I won't cover because Roshni will be speaking to that, and what you can do as a young surveyor with climate impact. So the FIG makeup is the FIG is the International Federation of Surveyors, if you're not aware of us. It's a commission-based, member-based, not-for-profit organisation that represents surveyors around the world. And it's made up of a council, a president-elect, and all that governance structure. But the most important thing is to know that there are 10 different commissions. So there are so many different types of surveying, and the commissions of FIG are designed so that they give you a place to fit. You may fit in multiple ones. Maybe you're a hydrographic surveyor, maybe you're a quantity surveyor, maybe you're more into the professional side of things, or all of them. There's a place for you. Now, under the commissions, there's working groups, and this is where you can really get involved and get your hands dirty and get involved. There are also special groups or interest groups, and the FIG Young Surveyors Network is one of them. It's a very important network that connects young surveyors like yourselves and me across the world. Last I checked, there was 11,000 members on our Facebook page, but that was a couple of years ago, so I'm sure it's grown. Now, representation-wise, we have 5 regions that cover the entire world, and generally, if you have a Young Surveyors Network in your country, they should be part of the FIG Young Surveyors Network already. So reach out to the Young Surveyors Network in your locality and find out more. Or you can look at our Facebook page and the FIG Young Surveyors Network web page. So what can you do as a young surveyor with climate action? Well, you're going to learn about that during this workshop. You can learn more about the SDGs, create focus groups or cohorts, which you're going to do in this workshop. In the what's next session, you can connect with other surveyors and young surveyors and young planners in this group and continue the conversation. You can make personal choices, small changes in your day-to-day when it comes to, you know, choosing vegetarianism or choosing to walk instead of drive, small things like that. And then you can organise mapathons, which we as the VCSP can help you with. And we connect you with the wider FIG Young Surveyors Network. Now, if we all make small changes, we can advocate where we can and educate where there is ignorance. We can keep our Earth's temperature to less than the 1.5 degree increase. Now, what you can do as a surveyor, as I said, will be covered in this workshop, but in a broad way, giving information a geospatial component is one of the most effective ways to display difficult concepts. And we can do it, and we can do it wisely. So be the person who makes change and creates a domino effect. You're part of something bigger already, alongside other people who took the time to apply to come to this workshop, do the MOOC, and attend today. So listen in, ask challenging questions, and contribute today because you get out what you put in. You can find out more on the Young Surveyors Network webpage, fig.net/organisation/networks/young surveyors. I'll put the link in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you, and thank you for the warm welcome to the workshop.
No problem.
Before I pass it on to Roshni now, there is an activity I would like us to quickly take, and that is for us to tell all of us where it is we're joining this meeting from. So all I'm going to ask us to do is, a link will be dropped on the chat box for all of us, and then on that link, we can just, it's going to be used for interactivity during this workshop. And this link might be dropped right away or maybe after the next session. But then once it's dropped, just try to tell us where it is you're joining this meeting from. And then we can keep a record of that and possibly show it on this on our slides while the meeting is ongoing. Thank you so much. I think I'd like to welcome right now Roshni, the VCSP Wisdom Workshop Lead, to quickly speak for some few minutes on the VCSP. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Israel, and welcome everyone. I must say that Israel and Claire are two of the most inspiring, amazing people that I know in my life, and it's such a privilege to share this journey of the VCSP with them. I will share my screen now to give you an introduction into who the VCSP are. So we are a worldwide presence, and we are the engagement of young surveyors everywhere with different types of skills, different levels of geospatial experience, coming together for causes that we care about, people and planet. The VCSP is a collaborative global outreach program that has 4 arms, which I will speak about later, and we come together to map the world a better place. Our reason for being, as I mentioned, is because we care deeply about people in need and the environment. In the context of today's Wisdom Workshop, we know that we can come together as a community to be able to create movement on climate change. As David Attenborough said at COP26 recently, As David Attenborough said at COP26 recently, if working apart were a force powerful enough to destabilize our planet, surely working together we are powerful enough to save it. So our team, we have a core team of about 20 people, and then we have a range of events and initiatives that we run across over the years to be able to make impact on these things. We enable young surveyors to volunteer for the future, to learn different skills and new perspectives, and to share their knowledge with others to be able to make a change. So the 4 arms that we have, our paths, which we're very proud of and that give us meaning, are in-country deployments, in which we encourage and facilitate. We work with our partners, GLTN and Cadastre, to bring young surveyors to communities in need and train them to be able to use their geospatial and surveying skills to be able to help the local communities with regards to land administration, climate change, many things, humanitarian surveying. We also have e-volunteering, which is where we run mapathons. And so we've run a number of mapathons in conjunction with various partners and supported our partners to run their mapathons as well. We run wisdom workshops like this one here, where we aim to bring together as many people as we can and empower them to have the skills to take back to their local communities and to use in their workplaces to create change for people and planet. And we're building a knowledge portal, a place, a repository for anyone who is interested, for young surveyors worldwide to be able to be equipped with the tools and skills that they need to be effective humanitarian surveyors. We're guided by 4 key values: curiosity, respect, volunteerism, and sustainability. The VCSP was created initially in 2017 by the Young Surveyors Network, and it was born from a desire to connect young surveyors to volunteering opportunities in high-value community projects worldwide. Following the initial pilot, which involved the deployment of 13 VCSs, or Volunteer Community Surveyors, in partnership with GLTN, we're now into our 3rd year, where we have established greater ties with partners, increased the number of partners we have, and been able to deploy 20 further young surveyors across several countries. So as I mentioned, we have deployed people to various countries supported by VCS mentors to guide them along their way and in conjunction with our partners. We've had 2 mapathons where we have had over 400 mappers from over 45 different countries, 1,000 different features. And we've run a number of wisdom workshops. So this is our 3rd wisdom workshop. In the past, we've had over 170 different participants from over 40 countries globally. We really are driven, and it brings us life to hear about the amazing things that our partners and our VCSs say. So these are some snapshots of some of the things that we have received as feedback that empower us to keep on going and to keep making the change that we want to see in the world. We're really pleased that we're able to support more women, to female VCSs, to get out there, to build their skills, and to achieve one more step on the journey of change that they're seeking to go on. We're really pleased that we're able to support many people from disadvantaged communities to be able to have faith and belief that they can become humanitarian surveyors, that their goals are possible. And so all of our work is driven by funding that comes from our partners and from volunteers around the world who support us. All of our core team are volunteers, and we pride ourselves on using our volunteer effort to make a change. So alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And that is a spirit which I hope that we can come to this wisdom workshop. We've had the scene beautifully set for us by Claire, who leaves me with big shoes to fill and is one of the most inspiring forces for change that I know. I hope that by participating in this wisdom workshop, that each of you are able to find others, peers around you, whether they're from your country, a different hemisphere even, to inspire you on the journey to help people and planet and to be humanitarian surveyors. So on that note, thank you very much, Israel. And
thank you so much, Roshni.
Back to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Roshni. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm excited that we're here, and thank you, Roshni, for sharing that information with us about the VCSP. The next person I would like to call to take the lead or to speak to us right now is Dr. Leslie Arnold. I'd like to quickly say that Dr. Leslie works with governments. Okay. Dr. Leslie works with governments to develop strategies, policies, and implementation plans for geospatial information reform, open data initiatives, and geospatial information globally. Yeah, Leslie currently works with the United Nations and World Bank, supporting countries to strengthen their geospatial information management capabilities towards implementing the 2030 Agenda for the Sustainable Development. And she's one of the lead authors of the UN GGIM Integrated Geospatial Information Framework. So previously, she was director at Landgate, responsible for Western Australia's geographic, aerial photography, and satellite remote sensing programs, and the delivery of 301 products and services. Leslie has held several executive positions on intergovernmental committees, and she's currently the board director of AU Scope and Geoscience Australia's location program. I'm excited this morning to welcome to this meeting to speak to us for another round of 20 minutes, Dr. Leslie Arnold. Thank you so much, participants.
Thank you, Israel, for that welcome and the introduction, and to Roshni and Claire for that inspiring introduction as well. It's exciting to be here. I'm so glad to be invited, and I hope to take you on a journey. I think we've got someone with their mic on at the moment, for everyone to turn their mics off. Thank you. Okay, so I'll just share my screen and begin. Looking forward to sharing some of this story with you, and it's really sharing, let me just set it up, make sure it comes on the right screen. Israel, you'll be able to tell me if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, it's perfect. Perfect now. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just not sure which screen you're looking at, actually. So I'll just turn off all of these things. Okay. So thank you. I'm going to talk about the Integrated Geospatial Information Framework, but just I'm going to set the scene and explain why it matters. And all of you doing these projects, you are going to be using geospatial data to make some decisions and enable people to set policy. So I want to firstly talk about geospatial data and how it links in with the climate change action very briefly, because others will go into more detail. Talk a bit about the data management issues that you'll face when you actually start to implement your projects in this area, and how the IGIF, or the Integrated Geospatial Information Framework, can actually strengthen your information, your geospatial information that you are using, but also the governance and the policy, the financial aspects, the partnership potential that surrounds and sort of drives us towards strengthening that information so that we can use it for our applications. So when we think of geospatial information, it supports decision making, and you're all in such a fantastic field. I don't know whether you realize it, and part of the realization is because we are right at the beginning of the supply of information out to the decision makers and to those who are creating policy. And of course, you're in the area that doesn't get the kudos for changing those policies. That all comes down to the ministers who get the kudos. And yet, if when you think about it, and if anyone asks you what you do, please start off by saying to them that you're the ones that save lives, you put food on the table, and you enable us as a society to support climate change action. Really important. We're just a little bit invisible at sometimes. So geospatial information, of course, climate change is delivering floods, high winds, it's delivering droughts, it's delivering fires, it's delivering a lot of environmental, natural hazards. We can see that impact already. And of course, climate change action is about implementing things that we can do now to actually reduce it. And Claire covered this. It's about reducing those emissions from being able to navigate in a way that we can use less fuel. It's in a way that we can run our homes using less power and so forth. And so if you think about it, all the things we do with geospatial data has some sort of relationship to climate change action potential, right down to land boundaries. And if you think of surveyors, we're actually helping people to understand what the rights, restrictions and responsibilities are on land. I've just recently seen a local shire here have now put in a policy, and the policy is all about no more black roofs on homes, because of course they retain the heat, and in Australia we use more of our air conditioners and of course more power. But interestingly, the article that was associated with that was from the scientists. The scientists were actually recognised for the work that they have been doing to identify how black roofs do make a difference in terms of retaining heat. The policy in a cooler country would be very different, but it's all about geospatial data supporting decision making, and the end game is to change policy to support climate change action. So I'm very excited about what you do. So, of course, what we need is data. So in any of the projects that you'll be doing, you'll need data. And the United Nations have identified that there are 14 fundamental data themes. These data sets that are within these themes are the data sets that are needed to support climate change action. And there's some links there for you, and I'm sure this presentation will be available at some stage. So these things, so that's all very nice, but of course, and climate change actually requires other data things that are outside of the scope of those 14 themes. So the 14 themes are the base for analysis. And these other things are economic data, labour data, carbon tax data, and other data sets. So there's a lot of information that needs to be collected to support some of the analysis. And of course, the analysis may be on understanding sea level rise, or it may be understanding carbon emissions. So the actual application is quite defined in the work that you will do. So climate change action is all about understanding the impact of climate change. It's all about understanding how we can put in preventative measures for climate change, how we can prepare for the results of climate change and all these natural disasters, and how we respond to them as well. And of course, all these pillars, if you like, of climate change action sit upon this platform of resilience building. Now, integration of data is what enables us to deliver new insights to data. This is the important. It's not so much about the data on its own, but how we can actually bring it together so that we can actually do this analysis to better understand our planet. But of course, in many countries, including Australia, a lot of the agencies work individually to collect this data. So we say it's managed in silos. There's brick walls, of course, between the data sets. And it's hard to actually share that data with other agencies so that it can be integrated. And quite often there is no willingness to actually share the data. There's a lot of power with having this data, and people can be unwilling to share. Sometimes the standards that are used are different. It means that the data is not interoperable. So there's a lot of work for the geospatial scientists to start pulling this data together. And that's, of course, assuming that they can find data in the first place as well. Sometimes the supply of data can be convoluted. I mean, if you just think about points of interest, a points of interest data set has a lot of feeds from other databases, and many organizations collect points of interest as a suppliers. And of course, there's multiple users who are passing that data on to their users. And then, of course, we get people who are sharing data between the suppliers and not going through the primary data source, which is at the beginning. And then, of course, we suddenly find there's duplication, that there's multiple data sets that are being created. And then, of course, we start to see a lot more suppliers and users come in, and the sharing of data is extremely hard to follow. It's particularly points of interest. Address data is also the same. We also see the World Bank, Asia Development Bank, and a number of donors that come into countries and they collect data. What happens though is that there's no oversight of those projects, and there's quite often numerous projects going on at the same time, all collecting data. Sometimes data is collected without thinking about sharing data, particularly as an example, aerial photography is captured, and then there's no license there to actually share that data with other people. So quite often the data that's collected goes under someone's desk. It's used for the project, goes under someone's desk because no one knows where to put it. There's no recognized custodian. And this is where we start to get duplication. And without a custodian, there's no one to maintain that data. And there's a lot of opportunity lost in being able to scale up that project level data to support the national interests. So this is where we talk about national spatial data infrastructures, and they're created simply a central portal, a data warehouse and a catalogue that enables people to collect data. And governments now are encouraging the use of these data infrastructures to share their information more broadly. So we're trying to get over the siloed approach and also raise awareness that that data is available. If you look at it, an architectural view of it, you can see down here, it's the whole thing behind national spatial data infrastructures to try and bring all these agencies together to share data, often using middleware because of the lack of standards, but sharing that data through a network so that we can get it out to the users. And this is the key aspect of data infrastructures. But of course, all these issues and how do you get to a spatial data infrastructure so that you can easily use data for climate change studies is one of the things that the United Nations Committee of Experts try to address or have addressed by implementing a framework that will help countries to strengthen their geospatial information management. And you can see here the United Nations, their leaders from each of the countries, and they all have a voice and they're all driving change. So they developed this framework. It started off to be simply a overarching strategic framework, and that was mainly as a first step, which is to try and explain to politicians why the IGIF is so important. The next stage was to develop this guide. It's a 500-page document. It's all in separate Word files at the moment. There's a bit of work there to do to combine it together to be a single document, but it's 500 pages, a lot of information there, and it is instructional, and it is there for guidance. It tells you what type of actions you can implement to try and achieve a spatial data infrastructure to combat some of those problems with not being able to find data and the duplication and inconsistency that's occurring with data. Now, the thing that will interest you as you do your projects and climate change studies is these action plans. Now, the beauty about the IGIF is it's designed to be used to develop a spatial data infrastructure, but it can be used for any type of geospatial project. And I've used it for many different types of things. I'm going to come back to the plan because I want to talk a little bit more about the guide. I want you to understand that there's guidance out there. You don't have to start with a white page. There's plenty of information that you can be accessed in order to develop your plans. So the implementation guide is all about the what. Now it starts off, and of course there's 9 pathways. I should have mentioned there's 9 pathways. So every project needs to consider the avenue of governance and institutions, how you implement them, what sort of policy and legal framework do you need to support your project? What are the financial aspects? How much money do you need? The data sets that you require, any information, innovation that needs to be enabled for that project. It could be new algorithms, or it could be the development of a portal. The standards that need to be applied, and also to understand what standards are missing. The partnerships you need to put in place to help you enable what you're trying to achieve, coming together with partners, looking those having common values is really important, a common mission. There are many partners out there that can assist you, whether it be local government, from one government agency to another, or internationally. The education that you may need, so there may be some upskilling in order for you to complete your climate change study that you're doing, and also communicating and engaging with stakeholders. The communication is hugely important. Let people know what you're doing, and it provides mechanisms to show you how to do that communication. Now, within each of the pathways, there are 4 elements, and I just want to take you through what the guide looks like so that you can actually apply it in anything that you're trying to achieve. So just on the left-hand side there, you can see a diagram, and that diagram sits at the front of every single chapter or every single pathway. The 9 of them sits right at the front, and it's the same. So it's systematic, and it first starts with these elements. Now, I want to use an analogy because there are so many geospatial projects. The simplest way I can explain this is to use an analogy, and I will use one for building a house. So when you think about building a house, there are 4 key elements that you have to achieve if you're going to have a house. And so you need to think about the architectural style, the structure of the building, the interior design, and the landscape. So that's inside, outside, and its function, if you like. And of course, everyone has different architectural styles. So there's different actions within that element. The same with the structure, same with the interior design. There'll be different access, but at the end of the day, what one of the elements are is to achieve an interior design that you're happy with. So the elements for governance, policy, finance, they've all got 4 elements. The next part is the principles. So each pathway has a set of principles, and it's the principles you need to consider, and they're important and people overlook them. But if you don't follow the basic principles as a guide, then you're going to find that you're not going to achieve the outcome that you're looking for. And I hope that picture of that upside down house explains it. The guidance is there so that we're all aligned and on the same journey and following the same principles. The all-important actions. So there's a number of actions that have to be taken to build this house or to do any geospatial project. And these actions are defined there in a flow diagram. You can just see those little arrows just there that shows you what actions come first, what actions come later. And there's actions around the governance pathway. which is about forming leadership. It's about the champions and so forth. And of course, the actions are different between each pathway, whether you're looking at the policies you're needing, the standards, the data, etc. There's some different actions. Then the next stage is the tools. Now, this is, I think, what's the most value to you is the tools. Now, these sit in the appendix. There are a number of tools. So in this instance, we've got a steering committee charter as an example. We've got data inventory templates, some strategic thinking tools as well. All of those are available in the appendices and they support the actions. So you don't have to think about what actions, how to do it. The guidance is in the document. It also explains the interrelated actions, because there's a lot, just like a building, there's a lot of things going on at the same time. And the interrelated actions are between the pathways. So sometimes you have to do something in the governance pathway and at the same time do it in the policy pathway. And so these are explained in the document. And of course, the outcome that you're trying to achieve at the end of the day is a house that looks pretty much what you started out to. But of course, in every country, in every project, the actual outcome will look slightly different. This is a different house. It's done that for a purpose, is that each country has their own cultural differences, current capacity and capabilities. And so the function of that spatial data infrastructure will be the same, just like this house is, but it may look different, and that is okay, is what I wanted to say here. So that's the implementation guide, and there's also a roadmap to help you guide what actions need to come first. And again, you can apply these actions and this roadmap to any GIS project, as well as governments developing their spatial data infrastructures. But of course, there's a step here that I didn't mention before, and in between the guide and developing your plan of action, you have to do some assessment and analysis. And this actually sort of says, well, which actions do I have to do, and where in the schedule should I do them? So this is, again, some thinking that has to go on to get from the guidance to your action plan. And this action plan will be country specific, theme specific in terms of climate change application, and it could be system specific as well. The UN actually has developed a process, and so is the World Bank. The World Bank information is available in your learning materials. I just want to talk a bit about the UN approach. So this has been designed very instructional. The countries actually develop their own action plans themselves, and they follow a process or a guide for learning. And the first part is, of course, to set up the project. So we initiate the project, we schedule the activities, and we do a pre-needs assessment because, again, every country is different. The first part in any analysis that you do for any project, you'll be wanting to gather information, and that helps you understand the current situation. And there are tools that help you ask those pertinent questions. And of course, they're all aligned to the nine pathways. So there's questions for governance, there's questions around policy and so forth. Then there's a baseline survey that goes into more detail, particularly around the data, and that is a tick and flick that helps you undertake a survey to, again, understand that current situation. And we also encourage countries to do this environmental scanning. So that really is to understand what are the issues in the country, what problems are you trying to solve. Climate change is one of them, but there are others. There's labour shortages, there's poverty alleviation, and so forth, and they're usually related to the Sustainable Development Goals. And then you have to do a bit of thinking around, well, what is the desired future? Now, to get to that, there's a need to have these workshops, or in your case, if you're doing a project, gather people into a room, understand their needs, what they want to do, and develop a common vision forward, so that you're all on the same journey in terms of trying to achieve the outcome that you are aiming to do with your study. Alignment to the policies of government is really important here. So understanding what policies, could be digital transformation policy, It could be environmental management policies that are in your country, because you can align your study to those policies, and by doing that you actually lift them up in terms of importance in the eyes of the decision makers. Then once you know where you currently sit with your current situation, where you want to go with your what you desire, then you can do a gap analysis. That is, what's the difference between where you're at and where you want to go? And there's a gap analysis matrix that helps you to do that. And you can then develop a short report on what those gaps are, because that enables you to identify the actions that you need for your action plan. And here there are templates available through the World Bank, through United Nations. I've got action plan templates that are available, so it's a matter of filling them in, understanding what those actions are, and you can draw them from the guide and start to populate that template, and develop your implementation schedule. Consider the budgeting that you need for each action, and of course what your success looks like, so you can monitor and evaluate your progress. So that's really a huge overview of an assessment process. Oh, and I do have a slide here. I just wanted to draw your attention. These tools are all available for downloading, and the material, the information is available in your reading material. So thank you very much. Back to you, Israel. Thank you. I've raced through it. I hope I didn't go over time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Leslie. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Thank you for exposing us to all of this information, very vital for the implementation of geospatial information for sustainable development, for climate change, and all of the problems we have called societal problems. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you.
Leslie, would you like to take any question now for your session, or would you like us to progress and wait till the later question time?
Happy to do either, Israel. So,
okay, then I would advise we wait till we keep all the questions till after the panel discussion. Then we can take all of them one after the other. Thank you so much. So I'm going to quickly invite Roshni one more time to show us through the pool questions. We have some pool questions that I would really love if they are answered in this meeting. And Roshni, I believe you're there. Can you please quickly speak to us about them?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to place a link in the chat, and I'm hoping that you can all go to this link right now. It will just take us a couple of minutes, and we'll quickly work through 3 short questions. So if you can please click on the link that I've placed into the chat there. And we will start off with the first question. Which country are you from? So you'll be able to click on the link in the chat there, and then you'll be able to enter in which country you're from. I can see that we have a strong presence from Nigeria and Uganda. We've got some people from Ghana, some people from South Africa, Rwanda, Nepal, wonderful. Fiji, great to see. Tanzania, Zimbabwe, wonderful. It's great to see everyone putting in their countries that they're from. Yes, there's a strong presence from East Africa here. Good to see. Australia, like me. Someone from Mongolia. Wonderful. So if anyone hasn't joined yet, there's a link in the chat. If you can click on that, or if it's easier on your phone or on your computer, If you can go to www.menti.com and use the code 33339554. If that's easier for you, if you can please do that. And I can see that we've got about half of the people on the call today, or a bit more, 2/3, who have answered the question so far. We'd like to get everybody answering as many as we can before we move to the next question. So please do go to the link in the chat, or if it's easier on your phone or your computer, go to www.menti.com, MENTI.com. You can see at the top the instructions are here, and use the code 33339554. So we've got a couple more people who have put in where they're from here, and we're looking for anyone else to add in where they're from. So is your country not up here yet? Please do feel free to add it in. It would be amazing to see if we have anyone from other parts of Africa. Is there anyone online from Europe at all? Do we have anyone from Canada or America? Anyone from any of the Pacific Islands? We do have some people from Fiji. All right. So we'll move on to the next question now. We'd love to hear from you. What are some of the challenges you face with using geospatial information technologies for climate change? This could relate to your studies. This could relate to the work that you do as a surveyor or any other work that you do. This could relate to climate change impacts in your local community. This could relate to anything that you face as a challenge as a humanitarian surveyor or as somebody who cares about the planet and who's impacted by climate change. So we have a lot of people saying here that they don't have a proper understanding of the technology, or they're not sure where to find data sets. Data availability is an important barrier. And for some people, internet access or the stability of internet is a challenge. Getting other people to get support for your team or yourself. Please do use the link in the chat to enter in your thoughts as well. I'm sure that there's many more things that you could add to this list here. Every single person on this call, your voice is important to us. So you will continue to be able to add to this as we move through the workshop today. Please do continue to add your responses to this. And we'll just move to our last questions quickly. What words would you use to describe the benefits of geospatial information for climate change action? We have a lot of great responses here. So life-saving, monitoring, reduces natural disasters, it's educational, modeling, saves in time, efficiency and costs, it can be shared, easy access to data, tracking climate trends, up to date and real time. It allows us to have control and analyze climate behavior. We can see how we respond to the impacts. It helps with sustainability, fit for purpose solutions. This is really great. So please do continue to add your voice to this word cloud using the link in the chat. And I will now stop sharing and allow us to move to our dance break, the best part of wisdom workshops, I think. Back to you, Israel.
Thank you so much, Roshni. Thank you for taking us through the interactive sessions on with the Mentimeter. And participants, you're welcome back. I want to just quickly do something here. Few seconds, please. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce to us the next session. And then after the next session, I will introduce to us the session after the next, and then the session after the next. So I'm going to have to introduce 3 sections to us right now. Number 1 is that we're going to be going for a mapathon currently. On our participant handbook, which has been sent to you, you will discover that we have it there that Jordan Park should be handling the mapathon, but Jordan Park currently is unable to join this meeting for some very important reasons, unforeseen circumstances. But we're happy that we have the document produced by Jordan Park for this particular event. And I am happy to let you know that my incoming lead of the VCSP Wisdom Workshop, who is in person of Alan Kipto, is going to be taking us through the mapathon in few more minutes time. And after that, after the mapathon, we'll go into the dance session. The dance session is when we check our bodies after taking time to sit with our computer for this long. So immediately after the dance session, the session after that is going to be for the panel discussion. So I think I will continue with the introduction of the panel discussions immediately after the dance session. But I want to quickly say that the mapathon event is going to run only for about 20 minutes. After Alan is able to introduce us to it, participants are going to be required to remain on this meeting link and at the same time try to access the mapathon document. So you try to contribute to it. Maybe I should let us know that the mapathon is one of the things we are planning for our What Next session. What Next session has now become a regular feature of the VCSP Wisdom Workshops. So it's going to be very, very interesting if you are able to participate in the mapathon at this event. And if you have any questions during the mapathon, please just drop the question in the chat box. Alan, myself, and some of us who use AutoSM will be available to respond to those questions. Thank you so much. Alan, you're welcome to speak to us.
Thank you, Israel, for this opportunity. Hello, everyone. This is Alan from Kenya, and I'm the incoming VCSP lead. And I'm happy to see all of you. Okay, so for this next session, it's for the mapathon. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to share a link to the document just on the chat box. So you can check on it. And then number 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. So I hope I have the rights here. Just the same document. Okay, so everyone can see my screen from their side. So this is the same document which I shared the link with you. So open it and it should look like the one I'm having here. So this is the Climate Action Wisdom Workshop. So welcome. As you have heard Israel saying that Jordan Park would have presented this, but it's good I'm here and I hope we can see this. So the mapathon which we are having for this event today is a different one. And we want to participate in this mapping exercise. And participants are encouraged to use the humanitarian OpenStreetMap. So you can see that if you click on the link here, you can get to the OpenStreetMap website. Okay, and then you can practice your mapping skills. So as mentioned, this is meant to be a self-learning exercise. And as Israel has said, it's gonna take around 30 minutes for us So let's say 20 minutes plus this, the minutes I'm going to introduce. So we're having 2 tasks for this event today. So the first task is mapping areas of vulnerability related to reservoirs of the Kaleta and Sopeti hydroelectric power dams. So for this first task here, what it aims is we want to map those areas which are vulnerable for the hydroelectric power dams in order to provide development partners working in Guinea. As you can realize that this project is somewhere in Guinea. And we want to address humanitarian situations in this area with baseline data on which decisions will be made to improve resilience of the populations affected or which are at risk of being affected. And then we have task number 2 down there. That's from this document here. So I'm hoping you guys have opened the document on your side. So the task number 2 is multi-conflict in Lake Chad Basin region. So currently these are crises affecting the Lake Chad Basin states, which results from complex combination of factors, which include extreme poverty, non-state armed groups, underdevelopment, and the big one, changing climate. And we want to participate in this mapping event here. So you can see when you click on the task there, you can already get to the task already on the OpenStreetMap website. And again, if you are interested in getting to see other tasks in the website, you can click on this link here. You can see it from here. I know you can open it from the document on your end. And then again, we have some reference links down here. The OpenStreetMap link, the humanitarian OpenStreetMap team down here. So maybe you can get some time and just peruse through this one here. So thank you for that. At this time, I want to welcome any questions and take it back to Israel. Maybe Israel can show us how the task should be done. Maybe task 1 and 2, maybe can use one of them. And then, yeah, happy mapping. So thank you. Back to you, Israel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alan. Please leave your screen opened and so that participants can see your screen. I'd like to quickly say this, that we are out of time. By my timing, we have just 3 more minutes for this mappathon. We've not taken the 30 minutes slated for it or the 20 minutes slated for it, but it's only because that we shortened the time by maybe coming late a little bit or some unforeseen circumstances as well. So let me say that we're going to be continuing with the mappathon event, but what I think we should do right now is that we should take questions that we have from the mappathon. If anybody has questions accessing any link or getting anything done, let us know. The other thing we are going to be able to do immediately after this workshop is to put this mappathon document in the MOOC classroom. So for participants who are already on the MOOC classroom, that will be an advantage. You can be able to still ask questions, and that platform will remain open only for 2 days. And don't worry, it's not a compulsory task anymore, but or it's not a required task anymore. But then if you have questions to ask about the mappathon, please just ask on the MOOC classroom if you are unable to do that currently in this room. I would want us to now continue with everything on time so that we can be able to end the event as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Now to the interesting part of the VCSP Wisdom Workshop. We like to dance, we like to recuperate, we like to check our bodies. Before I go ahead and do that, I think I have to recognize someone who is in our midst, who is the like the vice chair in the university. She works with the university, I know her, but then she's actually the director of the Federal School of Surveying in Oyo. I could see her on this meeting, and I think it's important that we thank you for joining us, and thank you for mentoring us as well on some of these roles. Thank you so much, ma'am. So without taking so much of our time, let me welcome David. David Elegbede was my VCSP Wisdom Workshop team member at some point, and then is currently the VCSP in-country deployment team leader. He's been in charge of the in-country deployment for some time, and David is here to take us through the dancing steps so that we don't feel sick sitting on our chairs for so long. David, where are you?
Yeah. Don't sleep, don't sleep.
Turn your
Wake up.
videos on and show us the dancing.
Wake up. Collect your money. Wake up. Tera, go get the moolah. Wake up. Koniko kala. Kala kunya la odila. Don't walk, you don't try. You supposed to be jai. Kilo come, you come, person matter, person we don't mind. Boy, when I land softly on the sofa floor. So far, so good. Koni bajo, let me see you. Oh, lo, let me see you. Oh, lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh, lo, let me see you. Oh, lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh, lo, let me see you. Oh, lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh, lo, let me see you. Oh, lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Better, go get the dollar. Wake up. Don't walk, don't try. Supposed to stay high. Kilo go chef water. They feel when I'm mad. When I land so free on a sofa floor. So far, so good. Koni bajo, let me see you. Oh, lo, let me see you. Oh, lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh, lo, let me see you. Oh, lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh, lo, let me see you. Oh, lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh, lo, let me see you. Oh, lo, bukao. Let me see you. Let me see you.
Okay, yeah, I quickly requested David to pause the music.
Supposed to find me on a bed.
Can you please pause the music for 3 minutes? Yeah, thank you so much, David. I want to just give a little bit of information on what we are listening to. You know, I am married, and I spoke to my wife before coming to this meeting, and she was like, this song, though you keep singing it, but then it's a very good song. It's not bad. So you are free to dance even if you don't understand the lyrics of the song. That's one. Then secondly, the aspect I understand in the song says that it's like show your confidence. And there is a part where they dance and then they do something like this. I don't know. There are persons on this call who may be able to do this better than I am. I'm not a dancer, I'm sorry. But then David's going to play it one more time. And then we're going to just try and make sure we're checking our bodies. For me, like I said, I don't dance, but I like that we are all checking our bodies in one way or the other, and then we are recuperating before we continue with the next session of the workshop. Thank you so much. David, you can go ahead.
Oh.
Show us your dance.
Okay, I was actually going to
everyone.
play another one.
Please do whatever you want to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Buka is the best. That's the best. Buka.
Talking drums and shakere combination. I see people under the tambourino, dancing like there is a celebration. Mama, I'm the only one at home. All I want to do now is dance wombo lumbo. So I lock up and keep Kokorola Bekondo. Where do they have to? Yeah. Come see some picking at the Arugo de dance. Colombo. Wombo lumbo. Wombo lumbo. Wombo lumbo.
Thank you so much, David. Do you have anything you want to do? You have like 2 more minutes by my time, or can I progress?
Okay, I can just go back to the Buga that everybody wanted. So yeah.
Okay.
Don't walk, you don't try. You supposed to be jai. Kilo come, you come, person matter, person we don't mind. Boy, when I land softly on the sofa floor. So far, so good. Koni bajo, let me see you. Oh lo, let me see you. Oh lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh lo, let me see you. Oh lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh lo, let me see you. Oh lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh lo, let me see you. Oh lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Better, go get the dollar. Wake up. Don't walk, don't try. Supposed to stay high. Kilo come chef water. They see when I'm mad. When I land so free on a sofa floor. So far so good. Koni bajo. Let me see you. Oh lo, let me see you. Oh lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh lo, let me see you. Oh lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh lo, let me see you. Oh lo, bukao. Let me see you, de buga. Oh
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, David. That was on time, and that was just when we should end the dances. Thank you so much. I believe we have all been able to check off some stress, and then we're back with live video to continue the workshop from where we stopped. Okay, I'd like to quickly mention or reiterate again that if you have questions concerning the Mappathon event, please try to ask them in the chat box. And maybe after the chat box or after this meeting, the document is going to be added to the MOOC classroom, and then you can ask questions while trying to practice the Mappathon events. Thank you so much. So we are going to be breaking into rooms in a short while. We're going to be breaking into 3 parallel sessions. We have 3 topics here highlighted. We have QGIS for climate action. We have WebODM and image analysis, and then we have Open Data Cube for climate action. I understand that some of us have already selected our most preferred choices, and that is good already. But then you're free to join any room that you would really like to join, because we discovered that while you were filling the form, it seems we had a very good spread of participants across the 3 rooms that we're going to be creating. So I think I'm going to let Roshni tell us what each room is for, what will be happening in each room before we all decide to join them. That's one. And then, but before then, I think I should introduce to us the 3 facilitators of these sessions, and then we will progress. Thank you so much. So in the first room, or in one of the rooms, we're going to be having Carol Chan. Carol Chan is currently a PhD student at the University of Newcastle, investigating the impact of climate change on the distribution of invasive weeds in the Pacific using remote sensing. So she's a board member of OSGeo Oceania and currently the grand lead of OSM Fiji, managing activities including conducting training under the OSM funded community impact microgrants. Recently, Carol has been appointed a voting member of OSM, being one of the 2 from the region, both of which are women. That's interesting. Carol has a passion for community building, volunteerism, and open geospatial data and technology. She has 7 years of experience working in Fiji and across the Pacific in the geospatial industry, providing geospatial-related capacity building, undertaking geospatial analysis, data management, research, providing technical advice. So Carol is going to be in one of those rooms. Secondly, we're going to be having Leiluna in another room. Before I read or before I tell us about Leiluna, I would like to quickly say that Leiluna may not be able to directly present to us in that room, but then we have a recorded session, and then we have someone who is going to, we have Leiluna just going to be hanging in that room to answer certain questions. She'll be hanging around to answer questions during the breakout in our whole room. So let me just read to us that Leiluna is a geospatial analyst with an environment and urban planning background. She's a drone pilot and instructor. She's involved with local and international projects in database management, remote sensing, and web GIS development. She sees that empowering the local community with proper technology-based solutions and local engagement are critical in implementing humanitarian efforts in the global south. She's advocates in giving women on SOGISEX, and then a safe space for growth and development in geospatial science community. So Leiluna is going to be in that other room just to observe and then to respond to questions. Like I said, this is very important at this stage for her and for us as well. Then the last room is going to be occupied by Ademus Sela and the host of facilitators from Digital Ed Africa. Ademus Sena is the head of ICT, or the head of IT in Afrigist, and as well a lecturer in the cartography department in Digital Ed Africa. Sorry, in Afrigist rather. Ademu is the focal point of Digital Ed Africa in Afrigist, and his professional interests include implementation or deployment of Earth observation solutions in adequate IT environment, data science and technology. He lives in Ile-Ife, Nigeria, and he is from Benin Republic, a French-speaking country. So thank you so much, participants. Thank you for waiting till this time. I think I would invite Roshni now to set the record straight on what room we are to join for particular activities. Thank you, Roshni.
Thank you very much, Israel, and I hope that, like me, you're feeling puffed out but a bit regenerated after that dance break. I haven't danced like that for years. So what will happen is that we will open the breakout rooms, and you'll get a little box on your screen that will allow you to pick whichever breakout room you choose. You will have a choice of the 3 rooms that Israel mentioned. And at any time, you can come back to this main room here if you would like us to put you in a room if you're having any trouble moving into a room. What we will do is allow you to take control of where you'd like to go. So make sure you think about which of those 3 rooms you'd like to move into. You can only attend one. At the very end, we'll open the rooms for 20 minutes and then we'll be able to come back here. Israel.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Thank you so much, Roshni. I just want to mention quickly to us that we, in all of the rooms, we're going to be having Alan Kipto in the room for QGIs, for climate action. We're going to be having David in the room for web ODM and image analysis, and then we're going to be having Rose in the room for Open Data Cube, Data Africa for climate action. And I think it's important for me to announce as well that the facilitators and part of the organizers who are going to be in those rooms should please take note of our chat box, because the time we're going to convert back to the main room will be announced on that chat box. Actually, that should be in the next 30 minutes from now. So thank you so much. You can all go to your rooms right now. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Yeah. Welcome back, everyone. I think we're just going to wait for a few more minutes and then we'll continue. Yeah, it seems my room is now dark. Not the worst. Yeah, that's because I'm in a place where electricity can go off, but I believe it will come on soon. Thank you so much.
We can see you now, Israel.
Thank you. So now that we are 65 again, I think it's important that we continue with the meeting, and I want to appreciate all participants staying on this workshop now. I believe we've had some good engagement with our facilitators in the live session that we just had, or in the breakout rooms we just had. Remember that we've had a 7 days MOOC prior to now, and we've not closed that MOOC classroom because I discovered some of us are still turning in our assignments, and then because we want to upload the Mappathon document into it. So thank you so much. Immediately after the workshop, the Mappathon document will be uploaded. I don't know, would you want to take maybe the facilitators or the rapporteurs now? Would you like to just take one minute each to tell us what happened in your room so we can all be on the same page, and then we can progress to the panel discussion? Thank you. Let's start from, my room now. We'll start from the room I joined for the breakout session. We'll start from Rose. Rose, would you like to tell us what Demu showed us in the room we just finished?
Pardon?
Yeah, I was ask him if he would like to tell us what happened in our room before we go into the panel discussion. And after you, I will call David, and then I will call the last person. Ross. Okay, maybe while Ross is preparing for that, I can see David. David's video is turned on. David, can you just take some 30 seconds to tell us what happened in the room you joined, in Lay's room? Thank you. You're on mute.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, using the WebDM, she talked about her experience with it and what it entails to be able to use it, and the necessary the comparison with other applications like the PIX 4D, the DGI, and IGSoft, and how to process the output. And she also talks about some of the incentive of using the open drone map, the web open drone map. Also, she made mention, and she showed a few examples of the mapping stuff that she did and what she was able to process and what the output would be and how to improve the images when processing. So these are the major things she talked about, and I'm sure that there are questions for her already. Some people might be interested in knowing more about it, and I'm pretty more aware that she'll be able to answer and get people interested into using this mapping platform and mapping and processing platform. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Ross, can you just take a few seconds to tell us what happened in our room now before I call on Helen?
Okay, thank you. The presenter was talking about how we can utilize the programming languages to do code using latitude and longitude to analyze images so that they can aid our understanding about the climate change. There are several milestones or codes that he promised to share with our emails, and also he has sent a Google document whereby for references, or if you wish to read deeper, you can just log in. You can just open and have a look. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
More of the presentation can be found there. I think that is what I can say for now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rose. And last but not the least, let me call on Helen to tell us what happened in the QGIS room. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you, Israel. So on our room, thank you, Carol, for the good presentation on our room on QGIS. So we had a good session to see how we can do some basic processing tools in QGIS, including clipping, overlaying. We had a chance to interact with some data, which Carol showed on her screen, and how we can incorporate those basic operations. So there are several questions to Carol. It's good because she answered most of them, but I can tell that from the room, people had questions which they want to ask about QGIS. So I hope Carol will be open because you said we can give you a direct message and you can answer a question. So for our room, it was just okay. Thank you for that session, Carol.
Yeah, I think at this point, I'd like to pass on the moderation role to Roshni, who's going to introduce the next session, which is going to be a panel discussion. Thank you, Roshni.
Thank you very much, Israel. So I hope that everybody got a lot out of those three sessions that we had, the three technical cohorts. Each of them offers many different options, and we thoroughly encourage you to use the materials in the MOOC to explore more than one of the technical cohorts. They are all quite powerful and they can help you to do different things in terms of being able to use geospatial technologies for climate-related analysis, to visualize how problems are, where problems are, and to see and track success and measure the impact of changes. So I would now like to introduce our panel. So this panel is one of the things that I've been looking forward to the most out of today's program. It will be chaired by our very own Israel Tyrell, and we will have Carol Chan, Lei Lunas, and Admu Sina joining us to speak further about what it means to use the technologies that we have explored in the breakout rooms. So I'd like to welcome each of our speakers to the floor now. Please unmute yourself and turn on your camera. And I'm not sure if we will be able to have Lee join us today. We have the unfortunate news that she is a little unwell at the moment. So we might just proceed.
Thank you, Rosh. So I think we can go ahead. Am I correct? I can see Adimu, I can see Carol,
yes,
and I believe Leslie is here. Thank you so much, everyone. You're welcome to this
yes, and Leslie,
particular
I
interesting.
ask you to join us as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Everyone, you're welcome. I am going to be chairing this panel, and basically it's for us to talk deeper on the topic increasing climate resilience with geospatial technologies, now in the pre and post climate related disaster mapping context. That's what we are particular with. And I'm going to be taking certain questions from here. And after my questions, we'll pass it on to the questions that we all have from our different sessions, the MOOC, the breakout we just had, the presentations we've had before now. And then after that, we'll progress. I have a document I would like to share here, but can I please request Roshni to help me share that document, the Google Doc that I have the questions for. I'll send it to you, if you don't have it. I don't want to share it right now from my hand because I am having notifications from my laptop battery, and
Is this the Q&A document, Israel?
Yeah, I'm sending it to you right away.
No worries. I've got it.
Great. So first, I'm going to be talking to Carol on this question. I'm going to be talking to Carol. One of the things I've learned from the things that we have done in this workshop is what open source tools can do. And I understand that the role of geospatial information in building resilience against climate-induced hardships cannot be overemphasized. Now, I want to ask that how has open source tools like QGIS helped to impact climate resilience? Carol, you may want to speak to us.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So in case you don't know, I'm from the Pacific, and we've worked, when we think of climate resilience, we think of resilience against natural disasters in particular. So that involves a lot of identifying potential hazards and the underlying vulnerabilities that can help us prepare to build towards becoming more resilient. So being able to respond to these requires evidence-based decision. And in the Pacific in particular, we're not able to afford solutions that take away from being able to respond. And when I mean about these solutions, I mean about not purchasing, but really investing in infrastructure, particularly geospatial infrastructures that cost, hundreds and thousands of dollars. So open tools really provide accessibility for anyone at any level. It's scalable. So, local communities can adopt it, or even national agencies. And these solutions, provide no licensing costs. They promote democratizing information, making it more accessible, and transparency of governments and institutions. So these would be supported by the policies and, good governance that Leslie touched on earlier in the beginning. And really incorporating open tools like QGIS, we're really able to direct other efforts to and other resources to address more urgent needs. And open tools really are all about integration and sustainability. So a good example is a project now that's being run across the region to collect data sets. They're using all open geospatial tools because they want it to be sustainable in the long term. And it's really for funding climate risk insurance. So tools like QGIS, you've seen a lot of integration and tools being developed like the InnerSafe tool that I talked on, which is really to help disaster emergency managers respond to climate resilience. So you see a lot of tools coming up like that. And because it's built by a community, it's supported by a community. So that's really, I guess, how open tools in my context have really been beneficial for us.
Thank you so much, Carol. I have this friend in Fiji, Shetna, and she was her VCSP knowledge portal lead, the pioneer lead, and I've been in meetings with Shetna, and she will tell us things like they're expecting a particular hurricane or a particular one of those things, and then I just feel like these people are living in a different part of the world, and then some of us are in a different part of the world where we're not even used to some of these things. I think it's good that we have tools that we can use to engage some of these particular things, and they are open source. That's beautiful. So there's a second question I would like to ask in this regard, but I think I will just pass to the next question now. I would like to pass to the next question, which is, I'm going to ask Adimu this question. Adimu, can you speak on the integration of high-resolution satellite images with the Digital Head Africa platform for the implementation of climate resilience-related projects? Why I'm asking this question is because I understand that processing high-resolution satellite images is a challenge with computers, with our own computers. And with the Digital Head Africa platform, I suppose, or I suspect that we might have some advantages that are very, very important to share. So if you can share with us some of the advantages that you think the Digital Head Africa platform can offer us, especially as regards the integration of high-resolution satellite images. Thank you so much. Adimu, you're on mute. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Israel. I think it's a good one. One thing we should be talking more about is how to create awareness about the Digital Head Africa project and platform. When you are talking about integration, we need to know where are the data, the useful data, the pre-processed data. And Digital Head Africa is already providing a certain number of high-resolution imagery. And not only providing, there is room for you to integrate. If you have your high-resolution image already available, you can as well integrate it to the platform through the API, the web map platform as well. So you have all those opportunities, and going even beyond, a little bit beyond, you can even, Carol was talking about QGIS, you can directly create a connection with the available data set into your QGIS, your desktop application.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, I am happy that for the platform Digital Ed Africa, because I know it's something that is really going to be able to help the analysis and processing of images and satellite information for sustainable development. That's just the name I like to call all of them. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, and I'm aware that we have Digital Ed Australia and some other digital ed platforms are coming up. And I just can't wait to see how much the digital ed platforms will be used to solve some of our learning challenges. So let me pass to my next question. Adimo, I'm still going to be asking you this question. Now, Digital Ed Africa is increasingly improving the use of satellite imageries for mapping, especially in the context of Africa and then Australia, where those platforms already do exist. And I know in Ghana as well, I learned they have should I say, a clone version for Ghana. So what I want to ask is that what comparative advantages does Africa has to derive from the Digital Ed Africa for increasing climate resilience? Now, what I actually intend, or what I really would like to know about this are some of the things that Digital Africa can do that some other platforms may not be able to do. Can you just highlight one or two other things about this, and then we can progress?
Well, what I would say there is that the first point is that Digital Ed Africa is providing the platform to analyze the data made freely available. So you don't need you have the cloud environment that allow you, and for we Africans to get to those resources and infrastructure is quite difficult. So you have the cloud environment that allow you, and you get it freely. You can process your data and get your result once you have the internet connection, and that is a point. If you have to get a cloud environment, you need to pay for it. If you have to get the data, and from where I'm coming from, the university environment, you know, for students when they are working on projects, you need data. And this is the platform that is making the data available for you. That's
Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you for
one other thing, sorry, if you allow me, is that not only for academic, but you could also go beyond. Even for production, commercial, you can use the platform. You will not see that on the other platform. Once you are going to commercial, you want to, then there are some certain limits that you face. So you have to use it for personal use and for commercial. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the clarity you've made on some of these topics. Now I'd like to pass to Dr. Leslie. A major challenge with using geospatial information for managing climate-related crises is integration. And when I flipped through your slide, when I saw what you have presented to us today, I understand that the IGF has a role to play in this integration. So I want to ask, what has been done in the context of the IGIF? What more can be done by the geospatial information expertise to ensure a synergized effort towards improving the use of geospatial information for building climate resilience? Thank you, Dr. Leslie.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. So at a leadership level, there is a new initiative now, and it's called the SDG Alliance. There are 3 organizations, Esri, Kellogg's Foundation, and a blockchain company, and I can't think of their name at the moment. I should look it up. They are funding a platform to collect data related to the the Sustainable Development Goals, of which one is climate change. Now, it's very new. I had a look at it earlier. Actually, I might have the link if I've still kept it up. Yes, I have. I'm going to send a link through for everyone in the chat. So what they're doing is trying to gather from all the countries their evidence or outputs from some of the work that's being done in the area of climate change and the SDGs. And they're putting it all together in a platform. So if you think of the COVID dashboard, it's a bit like that. So that's what they're trying to bring together. And I will just try and find the chat block and put it in so everyone can follow along. But so that is one initiative. And it's all about integration of data at the end, which is what you're saying. But of course, countries have got to get to that stage where they can integrate the data. So there's two parts to the project. One is Esri working on the platform, but there's also the Kellogg's is sort of helping to fund the UN to help countries implement their national spatial data infrastructure and the training that comes with the IGIF. So the IGIF is being used at that level, but that's a global application. Now, the World Bank is also helping countries, and you can reach out to the World Bank. You just reach out, ask them for technical assistance to support the development of a baseline assessment, a socioeconomic value assessment of geospatial information, and also an action plan. And you, through your managers and through the foreign aid, can actually request that as an input or as a first point of call with the World Bank. So you can actually help ask for assistance. They go through their processes of whether there's a decision that they will do that, but that is one way to get some support. So recently, the World Bank have just done Philippines, Vietnam, and then there's also the donors. So Kartverket, which is the Norwegian Mapping Authority, are also helping support the development of these action plans, of which there's these multiple aspects, but the action plan is the end game. And Kartverket have just funded the work in Georgia, Moldova, Kyrgyzstan, and Ukraine. Actually, the work in Ukraine just finished shortly before the invasion there. But nonetheless, they've done that work, and they provide assisting learning. And so they're developing their action plans, again, using the IGIF. So there is work happening, is what I'm saying. And the UN is now working with 16 countries through this SDG alliance. I don't know, did I answer your question? Oh, you're on mute, Israel.
Thank you so much, Dr. Leslie. Yeah, I think now I would like to pass it to Roshni, who's going to continue with the questions from our participants. And our participants are free as well to ask questions from our facilitators. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Israel. So I guess in terms of questions, we have one here. For monitoring climate change, which satellite imageries and sources provide high resolution, freely available imageries for monitoring glaciers of Nepal? Is one of our panelists happy to answer that question? High resolution data about that might help to monitor glaciers in Nepal.
I guess this comes back to partnerships. So Nepal has done a lot of work too. I've worked with Nepal to help develop their IGIF action plan, and they've made considerable effort, and they're very proactive at the UN GGIM level and invited to speak. So it's excellent what Nepal has actually achieved over the last couple of years. High-level imagery is a key thing, definitely. And the survey mapping had a big program to collect imagery. I don't know whether that went ahead. They had trouble during the COVID period in getting that aerial imagery flown. And so I don't know whether it went ahead, but there was plans to actually capture aerial imagery for Nepal. Again, it comes back to partnerships as well, working with the people like Maxar, and that it's not necessarily always, I think a first starting point is Geo, the organisation Geo, get in contact with them, work out what's available, because there is free data available, but I don't know whether it would suit the purpose for monitoring the glaciers at all, but Geo probably. Stephen Ramage is probably the first good contact there. Thank you.
Just put Stephen's LinkedIn.
Great fellow. He will answer. He might be heading up the agency, but he will answer and give you some direction of what might be available. Funding's always hard. And I was interesting what Carol was saying about the work she's doing, because and pointing out how much these things cost, hundreds of thousands for technology. But if we look at the outcome at the end, if we're not building buildings in floodplains, we're saving a lot of money. I look at all the floods in Queensland and the area. If only we had geospatial information at that time to understand that those areas were going to be so subject to flooding, we wouldn't have built all those houses there. So at the end, that spatial, that intelligence, geospatial intelligence, it saves so much money for such a small expense. That messaging is hard to get out there for us, because we tend as technical people to focus on the technology side, but the outcome, the savings for government is huge,
That's really, really good points there, Leslie. And you mentioned partnerships. I think that when we have projects that we're running that are off the ground and may not have that much funding, partnerships can be absolutely crucial. Is there any advice that you could give to people who might be seeking support or seeking partnerships to help them with their projects around how they can get started? Any tips or anything that can help them build their confidence in reaching out to work with other people or organizations?
So there is a partnerships pathway in the IGIF. It talks about the process, and I think understanding the process of building a partnership is really important. Sometimes we don't know where to go out, and one of the first steps is actually to put out an expression of interest. Looking for partners to help develop something, and you don't even have to have the money there at this point, because what happens, particularly if it's business bring so many skills and innovation, but they could also bring a way in to make money out of what it is you're doing, and they take a portion of that funds at the end. Does that make sense? So there's going to be something in it for them. I think coming up with a partner who's got the shared values, shared goals, that's meaningful, is really important. And they're the ones that work really well. And of course, in your region, like in Australia, actually supports the countries located close by, and so does the Norwegian Mapping Authority. Japan supports, or JICA, through JICA, they support countries. Sweden does, all these countries do. So I don't know where you are, but where you are, there's probably a donor in your region. And if it's about climate change, it's really important. Anything, you see, these countries, and the message for them is that climate change is affecting the whole world. So anything you do as a country has some flow-on benefits for their country, for the rest of the world. And the converse happens. We so often see, and I hear it in my work, where locally in a province, someone's put a factory in alongside a river, and it's polluting the province that's lower down, you know what I mean? Because there hasn't been any planning and understanding. It doesn't affect the province that granted the approval, but it affects the adjacent province. And that's what happens with countries too. So when these donor agencies provide money, the common value that you're looking for is what you're doing will also have a benefit to them. So reduction in emissions is going to have a benefit to them. And that's where that common values is. But have a look at IGIF. There is a pathway in there. Thanks for the question. Good question.
Good answer. Thank you very much, Leslie. The final question that we have now is for both Adamu and Carol and Leslie. If people might be struggling on how to build their skills or competencies in looking for data or in programming skills to use with, for example, Open Data Cube, what advice would you give them? Carol, we might start with you, and then we'll move to Adamu and Leslie.
I guess it's similar to the advice I had talked in my session. The thing about like any mapping community is people are always keen to share their knowledge, but also information that they may have. There's not really any, you know, best kept secrets in the mapping community that I've seen so far. One thing in particular, if you're trying to build like programming skills or even you know, just some fundamental theory, there's always tons of workshops just like this, you know, that VCSP is offering. But there's even like so many mapping communities you could be a part of, and they offer trainings just like this. But one thing that's really key to, I guess, building your success is really your interest. If you're very interested in learning a little bit more, then that, you know, drives your enthusiasm and self-learning. So yeah, just, I guess, just connect with people is probably the way that I've learned most in this industry so far. Yeah.
Thank you, Carol. What about you, Adamu?
Okay, thank you, Roshni. What I would suggest, if the Digital Earth Africa platform is one of them, to access data, to get data, and to be able to process them, to analyze them. And the good thing also is that there's a typical platform which I've introduced earlier, the e-learning platform. The e-learning platform takes you through 6 sessions. Basically in 6 hours you could complete. Then you get the basics to see how to understand all these concepts of using codes. And aside that, you also have a supplementary session which is talking about Python, how to apply Python to geo information science and to analyze data. What are the basic modules that you should tackle, NumPy and so on. And then you can go through it also to learn more about how to apply all those concepts. I'll put the link on the chat for people to learn. Another source of, you know, all these open room like GitHub. If you are working on a project, you go to GitHub and try to see exactly who are the people working on the related topics. First, that's where you start from, and you start discussing with them one-to-one and writing them. So if there is any available data concerning the same topic, sure, they will be able to share with you. Try to explore for people that want to learn more about all this, the Digital Earth Africa project, how data are made available, and what are the level of pre-processing on each of the satellite imagery you could explore more. And the good thing is that you have a help desk that can also help if you have particular challenges. If you want to learn more or you are facing some difficulty, they can assist, as well as technical people that can follow you. So at the other side, you consider when you can as well develop use cases. So far, the use case is useful for a very large community. Experts from Digital Earth Africa are ready to follow you at national level and continental level. So that's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adamir. Leslie, over to you.
Yeah, learning is such a personal journey. And sometimes you learn just by putting your hand up to do something you don't know about, because it's the way to make you actually learn and then find out what it is you don't know. So I did that. When I did my PhD, I learned how to program. I had no idea how to program, but suddenly I had to learn. So sometimes it comes from within, this learning, and they really want to learn. And it's a journey. When I finished my studies, because it's a long time ago, I learned how to hand letter in cartography. Well, things have changed, so you're continually learning on this journey, and you have to, otherwise for me in my role now I wouldn't be able to help anyone, so you have to keep up. Look, I think COVID has done us an advantage in a way, because there are so many online courses now. They're not necessarily going to teach you the in-depth programming. I think you're going to have to learn that at work through your courses, your technical courses that you do. I can't offer any advice there. But strategically, big picture thinking, a lot of courses. Now, again, I come back to the World Bank. There's 2 courses in there on the IGIF, but have a look at the massive amount of courses, 500 plus, all on different areas. Blue economy, you can look at. There's loads of them, and they don't take long to do. They're usually an hour a week over 4 weeks. Loads of learning material, lots of listening to experts, wealth of knowledge. I learned so much for the ones that I ran. I learned so much from listening to the speakers that we invited. That there's some great opportunities there. I really hope you take advantage. They're free. If you do want a certificate, I think it's $5 US for the certificate, but otherwise everything's available for free. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our panelists. Those are some fantastic suggestions from all 3 of you. I'd now like to welcome our Wisdom Workshop team from the VCSP to the stage. So I've noted that Israel is just having a little bit of trouble with his connectivity, but we'll welcome the incoming VCSP Wisdom Workshop lead, Alan, and also we'll welcome, unfortunately, Letwin is unable to join us. She's presenting at FOSS4G at the moment. So we'll also welcome Rose to the stage as well, and I'd ask you to speak about what's next. What do you think are some of the pathways forward, that the themes that have come out from today's session? I'll also welcome some of our existing VCSP core team members who have some insights that they might like to share about what they think is next as well. So David, I can see you're on screen. Would you mind sharing with us any themes that have come out or stood out for you today, and anything you think is important on the way forward for how we use geospatial technologies for climate?
Yeah, I kind of struggled to really hear you well, but I think I picked some things. Maybe you were asking me to give my opinion about what today's event looks like, and what's my take home, and what do I think can be done next, if I'm correct. Okay. Yeah, as usual, the Wisdom Workshop has never failed to impress us. This is not the first, and this is another one in a different dimension now, trying to attend to some critical issues that has to do with the environment. So, and climate change, we all agree that it's one of the critical things that needs to be attended to. So, and what I've just seen for today is that for us to be able to really play our roles well as surveyors, as map makers, as geospatial analysts, we need to be well equipped with the necessary skills that can attend to some of these things. And part of it is what our facilitators has helped us to shed more light on and train us on. That is the technical aspect. That is where our strength is. That is our contribution to the environment and to the world itself to make it a better place. So what next? What next is that we should not just attend the workshop only and go back to slumber. I think there are so many things we could also learn on our own. The facilitator has given us some link to learn more things. So we could go back and learn and begin to take care of our nearest environment. I'm going to use these skills to address some of these issues little by little. If each one of us begin to advocate for this and begin to apply these technical skills in these areas, I'm sure that in a way, we'll be reducing the havoc that might be falling us here in the world. This is our home, and forget the fact that we want to map the mass, but this is where we have now. This is what we are sure of. Thank you. You're muted, Roshni.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. Those are some very wise words, and I hope that you can hear me a little bit better with my microphone now.
Yeah, definitely.
Great, good, thank you. A reminder to everybody that we will share the recording of today's wisdom workshop, as well as all of the necessary links that have been shared in the chat after this workshop. I'd now like to welcome Alan Kipto, our incoming wisdom workshop lead for VCSP, and Israel Taiwo, our current wisdom workshop lead, to share with us some of their thoughts about what's next following this workshop. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity. So we've had some good discussions here on this platform. And maybe what I'll just say to everyone is this is our home. And the issue of climate change is very big. And that's why we are using this platform to help cope and maybe reduce issues to do with climate change. So I would just maybe urge everyone of us, because now we've had some knowledge on some tools we can use, especially open source. We've learned something on GHGs, some people on these web ODM. So please, everyone, just go outside there, try to come up with some solutions which we can use to reduce climate change. So everyone, let's be on set, and then we go. Let's go geo. Let's have ideas. Let's share them together, and let's see how we can make this place a better place for us. This is our home. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alan. Those are, again, some very wise words from you as well. I would now like to offer a summary of what we have learnt today for all of us. We started off this morning with some very emotive and visual scene setting from Claire Buxton about her recent trip to the Arctic Circle. Hearing how the polar bears are moving south, the ice patterns are shifting. This really sets a scene for us to realize that climate change is a global problem. We are all also part of the entire planet, but we're also part of something bigger, whether it's the VCSP, the FIG Young Surveyors Network, or the geospatial and surveying industry worldwide. We are empowered to be able to make this change. We heard from Dr. Leslie Arnold about how our profession is powerful. We save lives, we put food on the table, we solve big problems, and we create resilience using our data and our science. Fundamental geospatial data underpins our ability to do all of these things, especially to respond, plan, and prevent catastrophic climate change impacts. We learned how data is complex in its creation and availability, and that there is often a convoluted data supply chain. Leslie gave us insights about how country-level action plans in the IGIF are very useful for many types of geospatial projects. So we can learn from these resources to get guidance and stand on the shoulders of giants, those who have gone before us, to be able to do things better. The 3 technical cohort sessions worked through how we can use code to analyze images to aid our understanding about climate change, how open source technologies are democratizing this process, and we saw some examples of what we can do with data in terms of analysis. The panel discussion highlighted for us how geospatial technologies are ubiquitous and so flexible. They have the potential to be integrated directly into our desktop applications through APIs. We're able to use them for many types of applications, from sustainable development to climate change response and recovery. And when we have access to data, such as through Digital Earth Africa and other data cubes, it empowers us to be able to do more. Geospatial data empowers us in the face of climate change to have autonomy and agency, to be able to help our communities, our people, and our local environment. I hope that today has been useful for you, and thoroughly encourage you to join the VCSP by going to fig.net/VCSP. You'll be able to join our mailing list there and stay up to date with all future events that we hold. You'll also be able to email us if you have something that you think we can help with. So, to finish off with, I'd like to play a short video that Leslie Arnold has shared with us. This video, I hope, inspires you from our dance break that we had earlier. I'll just share my screen.
If you've learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not 2 nuts. 3 is a crowd and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement, not you. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is over-glorified. Yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in.
So I hope that short video inspired you to be able to be a follower, and also if there's something that you're doing in the face of climate change using geospatial technologies, remember, you'll get a follower soon, and that will help you make your movement. I'd now like to ask everyone to turn your videos on so we can get a group photo, please.
Thanks for playing that, Roshni. I like to think of that as the data sharing. If you're in a government agency trying to bring on all those other agencies to share their data, it's a lesson there, isn't it? You've got to nurture your first follower. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you for suggesting it. Lovely. So it's so wonderful to see everyone turning their videos on now. It's amazing to see this community come to life like this. We are nothing without you. The VCSP is extremely grateful for your support, for your interest, and we hope that we can help you in your journey to be a humanitarian surveyor. And we also hope that we provide you with something valuable that you can take back and share with those that you know who are working with you as well. All right, so I'm just about to organize a screenshot. If there's anyone who hasn't turned their videos on yet, please turn your video on. And we will start off with something not very serious. I'd like you to stick your tongue out on the count of 3, 2, 1. Come on. Okay, so now we're going to take our serious photo. So please smile. I want to see all of your teeth. 3, 2, 1, smile. Wonderful. And we're going to do one more. On the count of 3, I want you to say your name as loud as you can. Ready? 1, 2, please unmute yourself. 3, and we're going to say your name. Wonderful. So in the last,
Hey guys, can we take another photo? I was not on that photo.
yep, if you would like one more photo, on the count of 3, we're all going to say VCSP. Ready? 3, 2, 1. VCSP. Amazing. Oh, Adrian, it's amazing to see all of the people. So in the last few minutes that we have before we finish this wisdom workshop, I'd like to invite each of you to say something that you enjoyed most about today. Please feel free to speak.
Those followers.
I enjoyed the dance breaks. Oh, nice, great.
Oh, I actually, myself and my kids, we actually enjoyed the dance as well.
Great.
Personally, I enjoyed the presentation from.
Thank you, Arwale. Tim, what about you? What did you enjoy most?
I enjoyed the dance, really motivating ones.
Great. Adama, what about you? Well, Priscilla, what did you enjoy most?
I enjoyed the dance section and every because it was a good learning experience.
Thank you. And Baraka, what did you enjoy most?
Oh, I'm very happy just to learn from the dance. You know, I was shaking my hand.
Oh, that's really wonderful. Thank you. And Kintu, what about you? What did you enjoy?
Yes, hello everyone. Yes, the workshop and the entire program has been enlightening. I'm an environmentalist by profession. This was, I think, majorly for surveyors, but I should concede I've learned a lot. Digital Earth Africa, actually, it was my first time to encounter this, and yeah, it has been so helpful. And going forward, I think I'll be able to exploit more, learn more, and use it to do some analysis here in Uganda. And we thank you. I'll be following you up and looking forward to other engagements. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Yahaya, I can see that you'd like to share something. Please do.
Hello, good morning to everybody from Nigeria. I did enjoy everything, so that is what I'll say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Would anyone else like to share with us what they
Yes,
enjoy?
I'm here.
Yusuf, hello.
Hey, hello. Myself, I enjoy all the training and the presentation, especially in using spatial sciences in solving complex issues like climate changes, like using GIS. So that is my interest in, especially in environmental issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Baraka, I can see you've got your hand up.
Yes, I have the question that we have been discussing a lot of issues in regard with the climate change. But when are you going to issue our certificate? This is my very important question because you have never talking about the certificate. When will you issue the certificates for those who have been actively participating in this wonderful workshop of today? Thank you.
So as we mentioned at the beginning of the workshop as well, and in the participants handbook, the requirements to receive a certificate are to work through the MOOC and be in attendance today. And so we will be able to cross-check all of those details and issue certificates within 1 week.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very
Very welcome. I'm very glad that you asked the question.
much. Okay, thank you.
Right, well, I'll open the floor to any last remarks and then we will continue with our day. Would anyone like to say anything before we close the meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remy.
Hi. I'm Remy from Nigeria. It's an honor to be here. It's a privilege. I've always had various challenges when it comes to using QGIS generally, and I'm really excited because I can finally do my final project with this. I'm really, really impressed. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Remy, that's amazing. And please reach out to our core team if we can help you if you get stuck with anything. I'm sure that between us we can point you to somebody to help you. Likewise with anybody else, if you're working on a problem and you're stuck, please feel free to email us or to reach out to one of the speakers and presenters from today. They'd be very happy to help you.
Hello, Rashina.
Emmanuel, hello.
How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Thank you for the presentation and the rest of the members. It was really good and insightful. Every time I attend the presentation, I really learn a lot of things. Apparently right now, I'm working on my proposal. There has been a food insecurity in northern Uganda, especially in Karamoja, and I really I need your support in this, especially guiding me how to go with my project, with the proposal, because I'm looking at the major cause of food insecurity is all about climate change, and I really need it. I need your help in this. Yeah, I'll be really glad when you guys are there for me.
No problems. Feel free to put some information in the MOOC or to send us an email at vcsp@fig.net, and we'll work to connect you to people who can help you.
All right, please. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Hi, I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if anyone can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, I'd just like to say thank you for this whole experience. It's actually been really, really delightful. I'm a professional land surveyor in South Africa, but really trying to transition into remote sensing and GIS and just like everything that it's doing, especially in climate change. Really exciting stuff. So this MOOC has been really, really insightful. And I think for me, it was especially the Digital Earth Africa. That was like a game changer for me. Because you hear about, I think, Google Earth Engine, and this sort of kind of feels very, very similar. So that's been really, really great. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's put this together. It's been top notch. I do have one question though. I don't know if anyone can help me, but it's with the assignment. I know it's I'm a little late with this, but I've been trying to get this assignment through. I don't know where to send it. That's the one for the QGIS nuke. No idea where to send it. So yeah. So yeah, that's been.
Good question. I think that the best place to send it if there's not a way that you can submit it in the classroom, then just email vcsp@fig.net. I'll put it into the chat as well. And we are checking that email every day.
Okay, and then I think my second thing, real quick, I'm sorry for everyone who's kind of waiting. As I said, I'm trying to transition into more remote sensing and GIS, and I've got a background and everything in it. I don't know if it's just sort of like any networks or platforms that anyone could suggest on where to go. Like, I'm really trying to get my career to go in that direction and be a part of policy and strategy and change and everything. So that would be great if anyone could direct me in that direction. I'd really, really appreciate that.
I feel like Leslie might be able to. She's looking it up right now.
I feel I should know the answer to that, but I was looking for Google.
I was doing the same.
And of course, Stephen Ramage is the one that will know about the groups that you can belong to. Let's see what we can find out between us and send you some information.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, there must be. Great to belong. Absolutely. And put your hands on. Yeah. I just want to add my congratulations. This is a volunteer effort. What an achievement. You've just done so well. I've known of you guys. I know you're there and know you volunteer, but to see you in action and what you've achieved, congratulations. And to the participants that make all this possible. There's no putting on a show. Keen, you would know that. Dancing, there's no point if there's no audience. So the fact that everyone's come online and participated and joined all the sessions and in the dancing, it's fantastic. Well done, Roshni and Israel, who's not online now, and to all on all the speakers, just from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leslie. From you, that means so much. I know just the tip of the iceberg of the amazing things you've done. So thank you. Kene, please do put your email into the chat or email us, because I've put into the chat the South African National Space Agency. That might be one place that could help. I know that they do a lot of the work with Digital Earth Africa. I think they're now hosting Digital Earth Africa, which used to be hosted with Geoscience Australia in Australia. But they would have some good people. Great, thank you.
Definitely. Yeah, no, thanks. I really appreciate that.
And there's also the FIG Commission. So I'm just putting the link of that into the chat. Oh, great. Leslie's put something in there too. Leslie, what's that?
Yeah, look, I just Google it. So Yale actually have all are welcome to attend online user group. I hope it's online. No, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not.
Still, they'd have people to talk to.
Yeah, but there must be some out there. Sorry, back to you, Roshni.
No, that's all good. Yes, ISPRS. Thank you, Adewale. ISPRS is a great organization. I'm sure you can Google that. And the FIG commissions, they've got a series of commissions, and there's got to be something in there about remote sensing somewhere.
All right, no, that's amazing.
It's a good question.
Israel's in the lobby. Oops. Where is the lobby? Yeah, so if there's anyone else who'd like to ask a question,
Sorry,
please.
okay, Roshni.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to. I want to know. It's not really a question anyway. I just want to crave the indulgence of Dr. Leslie, if we can actually connect on LinkedIn. So if you can have your LinkedIn connection, yeah, I think
yes,
that will make sense. All right, thank you.
Absolutely, yes. And I can send you my email too. So if you have any questions, and anyone, as Roshni says, please reach out. And if you've got a project and you want to talk about it, please reach out as well. I won't be able to mentor everyone. I have had some questions. I'm happy to link up with a few and meet every second month or something. Is quite a good way of chatting about progress and anything that comes up. But certainly if you've got a project and you're wanting to get started on it in terms of the planning, that's hard to learn at university. University tends to focus on the technology side and not on the planning or strategic thinking side. That's something that you learn as your career progresses. So if I can help there, that's a journey I've come on, and I'm really happy to share it with people. So yeah, no, please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last call for anyone who would like to ask any questions or say anything. Or dance. No worries. Well, again, thank you everybody for joining us. We are very, very humbled and grateful that you have. And I hope that you have a wonderful day and do some dancing.
Shall we play to?
Bye. Go do good things.
Bye.
You too. Bye.